Okay, that's interesting. Just to make it easier, I'm going to take authenticity off the board. Let's go with candor. I think that's honesty, basically, isn't it? It's good to know when you're dealing with somebody, are you getting back feedback that's actually what they're intending for you to receive, or is it what they want you to hear? I just had a one-on-one with my vice president today, and he likes to hear how things are. How can you improve your organization if people are just telling you things that they think you want to hear, or stuff that's really not that important just so they can get something off your chest and get through the meeting and say we had our one-on-one and get out the door? I don't think that has a whole lot of value. I would say if it's parenting, consistency is probably the most important of those. You want your kid to know if they do certain things that go past the line, here's where the line is. It doesn't change, so your kid doesn't have to guess as to what it is that's going to set you off. I know that this is as far as I can go. If I go beyond that, I will receive this much punishment. The punishment's always consistent, so therefore, in their mind, they know exactly what it is that the expectation is. So I think from two different perspectives, those two words, it just depends on the circumstances as to what's more important. Thank you, Mr. Tabletop.
My next question is for Mr. Martin Zwicky.
What's the question?
Ask the question first?
No, I'll wait till you get here. What are the three things that are the most important to Martin? Three things that are important to Martin.
Wow, that's a very deep and insane question. And I don't appreciate the fact that you robbed me of the 5 seconds that I normally have to walk.
Think about it.
The three things that are most important to Martin. Probably one is willpower. I think willpower is one of the things that I cherish and sort of appreciate the most in myself and in other people. The will to focus on something and really follow through with it. Another would probably have to be intelligence. I think I like kind of intelligent conversations, intelligent things when there's multiple meanings to movies or subjects or conversations or whatever you might have. That's always something that I appreciate a lot. Third thing that's important to me is probably a good story. I've noticed that in movies and conversations in life, when you don't have a good story that structures where you are, where you're going, where you want to go, where you've been, or what it is that you're doing or why you're doing it, there really doesn't seem to be much of a point to doing a lot of stuff. So I always try to kind of think of what's the story of when I'm at work, when I'm doing something, or what's the story of what I'm trying to do in life right now, what part of life I'm in. And I obviously appreciate very well-crafted stories whenever I see them, so I try to read and listen to a lot of stuff. Thank you, Mr. Tabletop's Master.
The next subject is for the director in the room.
I
shouldn't have mentioned that. Which is more important, the story or the speech that you intended to give, the speech that you gave, or the speech that you wanted to give? I'll give that to you again. Which is more important, the speech that you intended to give, the speech that you gave, or the speech that you had?
Story.
Great, thank you. It all depends on what perspective you're looking at. For example, if it's more important to yourself, or is it more important to the audience? Because as you know, we all join Toastmasters become better speakers. And we should all think about speaking, and when you do a speech, you have something important to say. So to me, what's most important is when you do speak, so it's the speech that you give that everyone hears. And that's what's the most important, because that's what's going to change the world. It's not so much what you think, what you plan to give, or what you should have give. It's what you actually presented, because that's the message that you set forth and make the changes that your speech is all about. I think it was Robert F. Kennedy that said, never give a speech unless you have something meaningful to say. And if you have something meaningful to say, make sure it's a message that's going to change the world. Mr. Table Topics Master.
And my last question, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name.
Mark.
Mark, who is it that you see as a high-level role model? Mark, who is your role model?
Thank you, Doug. So who do I see as a role model? I think I can think of a few different people, and I guess it can depend on what the context is, whether it be at work or family. I think most would be, I think if I could pick someone, it would be my grandfather on my mother's side. He's, he grew up during the Depression era, and he kind of, made something of himself. He created his own trucking business. He has his own business, which is still currently being run now by my father. And I've always kind of looked to him as he was able to kind of, he was originally a truck driver, and then he decided, you know what, I'm going to just do my own thing. I think I can do this myself. And so I always kind of admired him for being able to take something and create his own company and but still be there for his family and for my mother and my aunts and uncles, because he kept it pretty local. I think he could have easily grown it if he wanted to, but he always, from what I talked with him, he always kept it pretty manageable size so he could still come home at night and spend time with his family. So I think if I had to pick a role model, that's who it would be, is my grandfather.
And I'm going to cut this portion of our meeting short because our main speaker is here, and we know for a fact that he can dazzle and entertain like no other. So I'll return this meeting back to our Toastmaster, Mr. Aaron.
Thank you so much.